Discover the miraculous journey of Numbers, 12 sacred lessons revealed in divine transformation. In the third year of Jehoiakim, amidst the dry winds of the Sinai Peninsula, Moses found himself surrounded by a throng of weary Israelites. The sun's relentless rays bore down upon the camp, illuminating the faces of a people recently liberated from the brutal chains of slavery. They stood beneath the vast sky, a once hopeful and jubilant community, now shadowed by the harsh realities of their wilderness journey. Their delight at witnessing the parting of the Red Sea had faded, and their hearts now sank with despair as their stomachs ached for sustenance, and their spirits withered under the oppressive heat. From all around, complaints echoed like thunder across a darkened horizon. If only we had meat to eat. In Egypt, we sat by pots of meat and ate our fill of bread. The memory of abundance in Egypt twisted into an illusion of comfort, and Moses felt their discontent heavy upon him, a cloak woven from the threads of rebellion. With tears brimming in his eyes, he turned to the Lord amidst their grievances, crying out in the desolate quietude of the desert, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all this people on me?" The weight of leadership bore heavily on his shoulders, and he felt himself teetering on the precipice of despair, longing for relief. Yet, in this moment of anguish, God's voice pierced through the chaos, like a beacon of light in a storm. "Gather for me 70 elders of Israel," he commanded, promising to share the burden of leadership, to lighten the load that pressed so heavily on Moses' heart. In humble obedience, Moses assembled the elders, and as they gathered, an air of anticipation hung densely, pregnant with the promise of divine provision. Days passed in restless waiting, the Israelites still grumbling, their hearts quick to remember the chains of Egypt over the miracles unfolding before them. Then, the Lord unveiled his might in a miraculous display, sending a vast flock of quail that covered the earth. With rejoicing, the people feasted on the unexpected bounty, yet soon learned that ingratitude carried a heavier price. A plague swept through the camp, a stark reminder of the consequences of their rebellion. In the midst of this chaos, Moses stood firm, rooted in faith. He understood that their challenges were not merely against him, but against the Lord himself. He sought understanding in deep prayer, longing for wisdom to navigate the storm that raged in their hearts. Each cry of discontent echoed like a hammer against his spirit, yet the voice of God remained his solace amidst the tumult. In the wilderness, amid the dust and discomfort, profound lessons unfolded revealing the sacred truths of reliance upon God, the strength found in community, and the peril of disobedience. Yet, as Moses gazed over the restless multitude, a chilling uncertainty tugged at his heart. Had they truly learned? The journey ahead promised greater trials, steeped in the unknown. How can these stubborn hearts find faith? He pondered, despite the challenges that lie ahead. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the dust settled, the realization dawned this journey was only just beginning. The promised land lay ahead, shimmering promise yet obscured in trials. God's divine plan was unfolding, each step a testament to his faithfulness, leaving Moses with an undeniable sense that their path to redemption was laden with divine purpose, yet shrouded in mystery. The question lingered: could they find faith amidst the wilderness, and would they learn to trust in the God who led them through? And it came to pass, as the Israelites continued their journey, that the Lord spoke again to Moses. "Gather all the congregation together, and I will show them my glory," he said, a promise that filled Moses with both awe and trepidation. Thus, Moses called the people, and they gathered around the tabernacle of meeting, their eyes wide with expectation, hearts beating with anticipation of what was to come. As Moses entered the tent, the cloud descended in great majesty, enveloping the sacred place, and the voice of the Lord emerged from the enveloping mist, booming with authority. I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. They have forgotten my wonders, and their hearts have turned back to bondage. The weight of his words struck deep into the core of the gathering. The people trembled, knowing that their discontent had reached the ears of the Almighty. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I will provide for you. But know this, my grace is not without boundaries. You shall eat the meat you desire, but there shall be judgment upon those who disregard my commands. With each proclamation, Moses felt the gravity of God's reminder weigh heavily on him. Indeed, the pattern of disobedience seemed unbreakable, the chains of old Egypt still clinging to their hearts. Then the Spirit of the Lord fell upon the 70 elders whom Moses had appointed. They prophesied in the camp, anointed by God's presence, confirming that he had indeed shared the burden of leadership. Yet in their midst, 2 of the elders, Eldad and Medad, did not gather at the tent, yet the Spirit rested upon them, causing them to prophesy in the camp as well. When word of their actions reached Joshua, son of Nun, who was Moses' servant, he ran to inform Moses, saying, My Lord, stop them. But Moses, his eyes sharp with wisdom, replied, Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them. Such was the heart of Moses, a desire for the people to draw close to their God, to feel the richness of divine fellowship. And so it was that the next day, the quail filled their camp, as God had declared. The hunger of the people was satiated, yet it came with a price. A plague broke out among those who had disregarded God's warnings, consuming many in the frenzy of their greed. As the cries of anguish arose from the camp, Moses interceded for the people, asking God to remove his wrath. Forgive them, O Lord, he pleaded, for they know not the pain they inflict upon their souls. His heart ached with love for those so blind to the grace of their deliverance. The Lord relented, declaring, Those who remember my covenant shall experience my mercy, but those who forget will bear their own consequences. A solemn spirit settled over the camp, a painful reminder of the barriers between disobedience and divine favor. Yet in the depths of their trial, Moses sensed that God was revealing something sacred. In every affliction lies a promise, in each stumble, a chance to rise. Days turned into weeks as they trekked onward, but through it all, a flicker of hope ignited within the hearts of the faithful. They clung to the promise of a land flowing with milk and honey, a destiny that seemed almost too wondrous to grasp. Every step became a lesson, every struggle a teacher. As they approached the borders of Canaan, a deeper understanding coursed through Moses' spirit. Would they grasp the purpose of their journey? Would they learn to trust in the God who led them through the wilderness? Or would they allow their hearts to wander into the abyss of disbelief once more? For the Lord had not forgotten his covenant, and within his plan, a new revelation was stirring, a divine promise yet to bloom amidst the wilderness. What would be required of his people to inherit the fullness of his promise? Only time would unveil the answer, as the path ahead shimmered with both challenge and glory, beckoning the faithful forward into the arms of destiny. And it came to pass that the people, weary from their journey and burdened by the weight of their trials, began to speak against the leadership of Moses and Aaron. They lamented, saying, Would that we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. Why have you brought us up from Egypt to kill us in this desolate land? There is no food, nor water, and our souls loathe this worthless bread. The bitter words echoed among the ranks, and their discontent rose like a storm cloud, obscuring the light of the promise before them. Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the Lord, their hearts heavy with grief for the people. As they sought the Lord, the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle, and he spoke, How long will these people despise me? How long will they not believe in me, in the signs which I have performed among them? The Lord's voice was filled with a righteous fervor. I will strike them with a pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. Yet Moses, humble and steadfast, interceded yet again for Israel, reminding the Lord of his mighty works and the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. O Lord, he prayed, if you kill these people as one man, then the nations which have heard of your fame will speak, saying, Because the Lord was not able to bring this people to the land which he swore to give them. Therefore he killed them in the wilderness. And the Lord relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people. As you have spoken in my hearing, so I will do to you, he declared. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, all of you who were numbered from 20 years old and above, except for Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. Then the Lord spoke of the path forward, declaring, But your little ones, whom you said would be victims, I will bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. There came forth a feeling of deep sorrow in the camp, but the promise of their children's inheritance pierced the darkness with light. As the days continued in the wilderness, those who had rebelled against the Lord gathered to him, and said, We are ready to go up into the land which the Lord has promised. But Moses cautioned them, Do not go up, for the Lord is not among you. You will fall by the sword. Yet they did not heed Moses' warning and ascended the hill in vain pursuit, and the Amalekites and Canaanites descended upon them, driving them back in defeat. In the solemn aftermath, the people understood the depth of their disobedience. And through their many trials, the Lord was shaping a generation, preparing them for the promised land. For in their wilderness wanderings, they were being refined by the fire of tribulation, learning the lessons of faith, dependence, and divine grace. The days were long, but for those with ears to hear, there arose a promise of transformation, laid bare in the trials of their hearts. Thus, the Lord spoke these words through Moses to the people. In the depths of despair, my faithfulness remains unshaken, and in every heart that turns to me, I shall renew and restore. The path ahead held both challenge and destiny. Their trials were but a preparation for glory. Little did they know, a greater purpose awaited them just beyond the horizon. What would be unveiled in the generations that followed, as they walked through the shadow of death into the light of his promises? Only the author of their story could reveal the fullness of his plan. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, When you enter the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and you offer a food offering to the Lord from the herd or from the flock, you shall offer a lamb of the first year without blemish. These instructions brought forth a somber reflection upon the importance of holiness and obedience. The people hearkened to the word of the Lord, yet in their hearts remained the shadows of doubt. As they listened, Moses imparted the words of the Lord with a heavy spirit, knowing the trials they had endured. Years passed in the wilderness, and the people wandered under the heavy yoke of their previous rebellion. But there arose among them a faithful remnant who sought the face of the Lord. They remembered his great deeds, how he had parted the Red Sea, how he had rained down manna from heaven, and how each day he led them with a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. And it came to pass that Moses summoned the congregation, saying, You are to remember all the way which the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. With each recounting, the people's hearts began to soften, and they were stirred to repentance. In their weariness, they rediscovered hope, for even in their discipline, there lay a promise of restoration. They looked to Caleb and Joshua, whose faith remained steadfast, a beacon amidst despair. Then the Lord spoke again through Moses, saying, Because you have walked this path, I will show you my mighty hand among you, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God. The echoes of that promise ignited a fervor within the camp. Their spirits awoke to the potential of a transformed heart. As the caravan journeyed forward, the days of lament were eclipsed by songs of joy. They began to understand the beauty of their trials and the process of pressing into faith. Families gathered and shared their stories of deliverance, inspired, incited, and illuminated by the Lord's unwavering faithfulness. In the stillness of night, when the camp was wrapped in quiet, Moses would often draw near to the tent of meeting. There, he sought the Lord's counsel, and the intimate conversations turned into intercessions, lifting the burdens of the people once more. O Lord, Moses implored, walk among us and keep alive in us the promise of your presence. Then one day, the Lord said to Moses, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. And Moses, following the command, gathered chosen men, one from each tribe, sending them forth as emissaries of faith and discovery. The spies ventured into the land, and in their hearts lingered a tension between fear and faith. This land was indeed flowing with milk and honey, yet giants stood in their path. Returning, they bore fruit clusters of grapes so large that 2 men bore them on a pole. Yet, before the congregation, their words faltered. "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." The spirit of fear, like a shadow, crept into the camp, threatening to snuff out the growing flame of hope. But Caleb and Joshua stood firm, proclaiming, "If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us." But the crowd wailed and wept. "Would that we had died in the wilderness," they cried. If only they could glimpse the heart of God in their midst, if only they could forsake their fears and embrace the promises that loomed ahead. The air thickened with anticipation and despair, for the path to the promised land was laden with trial and trust. What awaited them beyond their fear? The echoes of faith and disobedience rang through the camp, as the Lord's purpose drew ever nearer. Would the hearts of the people fully embrace the covenant, or would they again retreat into disbelief? The answers rested with the author of their journey, ready to unveil the unfolding of his divine plan. And the night deepened upon the camp of Israel, shadows stretching across the tents like the fears that dwelled within the hearts of the people. The cries of despair mingled with haunting doubts, wrapping tightly around the souls of the congregation. At the forefront stood Caleb and Joshua, their eyes aflame with heavenly fervor, a stark contrast to the bleakness surrounding them. Moses, sensing the turmoil, rose early in the dawn, his heart heavy with the choices laid before his people. He gathered the elders and spoke, "Let the whole congregation stand before the Lord. For today, we must choose whom we will serve, fear that leads to bondage or faith that leads to promise." As the assembly drew near, the air crackled with tension, their ears filled with echoes of uncertainty. Caleb lifted his voice amidst the rising clamor and declared, "The land is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." His words rang like a trumpet, and for a brief moment, silence fell as hope flickered, yet the dissenters rallied, their midst ignited by fear. "But we are like grasshoppers before them. They will surely devour us." Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation, a radiance that turned the hearts of some toward trembling awe. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "How long will this people reject me? How long will they not believe me, with all the signs which I have performed among them?" Moses, with humbled spirit, interceded for the people. "O Lord, you are long-suffering and abundant in mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression. But I beseech you, let your power be made known. If you slay this people as one man, the nations will hear of it and say, 'Because the Lord was unable to bring them into the land he swore to give them, he killed them in the wilderness.'" Then the Lord relented concerning the disaster he had said he would bring upon his people. However, a pronouncement was made, "As truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. None of those men who saw my glory and the signs which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have put me to the test now these 10 times, shall see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor shall any of those who rejected me see it." A solemn weight fell upon them as they grappled with the divine decree. Yet Caleb and Joshua remained resolute, their spirits unyielding, proclaiming, "We are well able to overcome it." Through the tension in the camp flowed a current of faith, illuminating a path through despair. As the people wrestled with their rebellion, the seeds of new resolve began to take root in the hearts of the faithful remnant. The cry of the Lord echoed, resonating through the tents, urging them toward remembrance the countless miracles, the steadfast provision, the unwavering love. As the sun arose, the promise of a new day glimmered on the horizon. The congregation began to contemplate the depth of their covenant with God and their repeated rejections. The lessons of their journey unfolded before them as they faced their fears. What transformation awaited them? Would repentance and renewed faith bridge the chasm of disbelief, unlocking the gates of promise? The Lord's plan remained shrouded in divine mystery, Yet the hearts of the faithful stirred with hope, a hope that pointed to the greater victory yet to come, as unseen pathways converged toward destiny. And the dawn dispelled the heavy clouds of night, revealing the camp of Israel bathed in the golden light of the morning sun. Yet the hearts of the people were still turbulent, wrestling with the gravity of their recent choices. Whispers of doubt echoed among them, challenging the courage displayed by Caleb and Joshua. Moses, filled with the Spirit of God, summoned the people once more. He spoke with urgency, his voice rich with authority. "Hear me, O Israel. The Lord has bound us with a covenant stronger than the mountains and deeper than the seas. He will not forsake his promise, even if we waver in faith. We must return to him with contrite hearts." At the sound of Moses' words, the Israelites shifted uneasily. The fearsome giants in the land loomed large in their imaginations, a testament to their own inadequacies. Yet Caleb spoke forth once more, his resolve unwavering. "The Lord delights in showing his power. Will he not uphold his faithful ones? Remember how he parted the sea before us and how he provided manna in our wilderness. Our feet must tread upon the soil of faith. It is the path to his promise." A murmur arose from the crowd, some minds wrestling with memories of fear, while others stirred as whispers of faith began to take root. The 12 spies had returned, bearing the heavy fruits of the land. Yet some carried also the shadows of their report. "We are not able," they cried. "But if the Lord is with us, who shall we fear?" Then Joshua, standing alongside Caleb, lifted his arms and called to the people. "If the Lord is for us, no foe can stand. Why do you harden your hearts? The giants may be great, but our God is greater. Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able." Yet the dissenters rallied in their disbelief, adding fuel to the fire of division. "We will perish. Our children will become a prey. Let us return to Egypt." In their haste, they scorned the hands that delivered them from bondage, exchanging their liberty for a false sense of security. The ground trembled beneath their discontent as Moses fell upon his face before the Lord, and Aaron followed suit, seeking divine intercession. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "How long will these people provoke me? I have borne with their murmurs, yet still they disbelieve my words." The people stood in uneasy silence as the weight of their rebellion bore down upon them. The faithful ones gazed upward, where the pillar of cloud hung above, a constant reminder of God's abiding presence. The Spirit of the Lord surged through Joshua and Caleb, emboldening them once more. "If the Lord desires us, he will bring us into this new land. Let not our hearts tremble. He drives the enemy before us." Suddenly, the voice of the Lord thundered in the midst of the assembly. "Truly I declare, as I live, the earth shall be filled with my glory, and to your children I will give the land which you have despised. Their hearts shall not know fear, for they shall trust in me, the God of their fathers." The steadfast promise of God resonated within the congregation, and a flicker of hope ignited amidst despair. Hearts that had been weighed down by doubt began to grasp the straws of possibility. Would the Lord fulfill his covenant despite their anguish? As the day unfurled its wings, the clouds of discontent began to part. Yet fear still whispered, weaving through the minds of the stubborn and the distrusting. The tension hung thick in the air, intertwining with the faithful breath of those who believed. What awaited them beyond the threshold of their rebellion? Would their journey remain a tale of missed opportunity, or would God's sovereign hand navigate them toward redemption? The sacred lessons of faith beckoned to them, woven into the very fabric of his plan, as their path unfolded toward destiny. A greater promise loomed, hidden within grace yet to be revealed. As the sun reached its zenith, illuminating the camp with divine splendor, the spirit of discontent lingered among the people. They felt trapped between the fear of the unknown and the promises whispered to them by their leaders. In that moment of tension, Caleb and Joshua stepped forward, their faces glowing with conviction, ready to confront the hearts of their fellow Israelites. Joshua, his voice a beacon of unyielding faith, cried out, "If the Lord is with us, we need fear nothing. Be not afraid of the giants of the land, for they are but bread for us. Their protection has departed, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them." His words hung in the air, inviting the faithful to shake off the shackles of fear that clung to their spirits. Yet, a wave of unrest surged amongst the crowd. The dissenters, emboldened by their doubts, raised their voices in unity against the two men. "You wish to lead us to certain death. Better we return to the fleshpots of Egypt than face the wrath of annihilation here." Their cries echoed like thunder, drowning out the hope Caleb and Joshua sought to impart. Moses, observing the chaos and despair, turned his gaze to the heavens, imploring the Lord for guidance. In the depths of the congregation, as the rebellious murmurs crescendoed, he recalled the sacred encounters his ancestors had shared with the Almighty: the burning bush, the divine plagues, the parting of the sea. Once again, he felt the Spirit of God descend like fire upon him, igniting a righteous wrath. "People of Israel," Moses proclaimed with authority, voice filled with sorrow, "you do not recognize the hand of the Lord. Have you forgotten his deeds? Have you forsaken the miracles he wrought in our sight?" The piercing intensity of his words cut through the noise with surgical precision, as hearts began to quiver in realization at that moment. The weight of their disbelief became palpable, and the air thickened with a sacred stillness, as if creation itself awaited their response. The heavens, often silent witnesses to mankind's folly, seemed to lean closer, listening. "Behold," Moses continued, his countenance radiant with divine purpose, "because you have spoken against the Lord, the fulfillment of the promised land is for your children. You shall wander in the wilderness until all those who doubted are brought low, yet their feet shall not be cast away. Your days shall be spent learning the depth of repentance and trust." Fear gripped the hearts of the Israelites as they realized the gravity of their rebellion. "But, O Lord, what of the inheritance you promised us?" they cried, voices trembling. "His promise stands unbroken, dear Israel," Caleb replied, steadfastly. "Though we wander, we are not abandoned. Our children will rise and take the land through them. The fulfillment of his promise shall be reborn." In that trembling moment, a surge of understanding flowed through the assembly. God's sovereignty was at work, even in discipline, where grace awaited as the dawn follows the night. The faithful began to gather courage, and in a hushed tone, tentative faith stirred. Yet uncertainty lingered in the hearts of many, and the crushing silence echoed the hearts of those wrestling with disbelief. What awaited this generation? Would they be cast aside in their moment of rebellion, or would they learn to trust once more? And as they contemplated the Lord's plan with hearts ensnared in spiritual warfare, a shudder coursed through the multitude, awakening a stirring, a quiet yearning for redemption. "What will become of us?" some murmured, fear still taunting them from the shadows. But little did they know, a divine twist awaited in the folds of nightmare, and grace, the next chapter of their story, would reveal a truth long hidden in the tapestry of divine providence. As hope awakened anew, would they find the faith to trust in the unseen, leading forth to a promised destiny? Only time would unfold the brilliance of God's sovereign design, guiding them through the wilderness, toward an unimagined horizon yet untouched. As the murmurs of doubt hung heavily in the air, the Lord's presence enveloped the camp like a cloud of glory, bringing a serenity that contrasted sharply with the turmoil within the hearts of his people. The ground trembled softly beneath the feet of the Israelites, a subtle reminder that the God who delivered them from Egypt was still among them, resolute in his purpose. "Moses," came a voice from within the ranks, trembling yet resolute. "What shall we do now that the Lord has declared our fate? Are we to wander aimlessly, forsaken and lost?" It was Miriam, the sister of Moses, her face marked by concern but her spirit steadfast. Moses turned to Miriam, seeing in her eyes a mix of fear and fierce devotion. "The Lord has given us a charge, dear sister," he responded. "Though we must face the wilderness, we shall do so with hearts renewed. For our God is not a God of abandonment, but of covenant. We will teach our children his ways and prepare them for the promise that awaits." In the silence that followed, Caleb stepped forward once more, unyielding in his faith. "Let us not despise the path of trial before us, for it is through our struggles that the Lord molds us into a strong people. The giants shall only strengthen our resolve. The wilderness will not be our grave, but our training ground." As Caleb's words echoed, the wind seemed to shift, carrying a whisper of hope that stirred the spirit of the assembly. They glanced at one another, slowly forming a bond of unity in their shared plight. The shadows of doubt began to recede, replaced by the flicker of near-extinguished faith igniting once again. Yet amongst the gathering, some remained reluctant, clinging to the fear that had so long gripped their hearts. What of our plight? Can we trust in a promise that feels so distant? Came another voice from the throng, skeptical and weary. Moses held up his staff, which was long associated with miracles and the power of God. Hear me, Israel. The journey ahead shall not be without trials, but it is for the glory of the Lord that we shall march. He has made a promise that remains steadfast through time. Joshua and I have witnessed his faithfulness. We have tasted the fruit of his blessing. Suddenly, in the midst of the assembly, a sign appeared in the heavens. A cloud, brilliant and luminous, descended and hovered over the tabernacle. The Israelites gasped, their attention drawn to this divine confirmation and outward manifestation of God's assurance. "Look," Caleb shouted, his voice filled with awe. "The Lord is showing us his presence. In our darkest moments, he shines brightest. He has not forgotten his promises." As the cloud shimmered, a voice emerged from within it, deep and resonant. "Fear not, for I am with you. In your wandering, I will lead you. In your searching, I will be found. You shall walk these paths, but they are not your end. Trust in me." An overwhelming wave of reverence washed over the congregation, compelling many to kneel, overcome by the weight of the holy presence. In that divine moment, faith surged like a tide, washing away the remnants of disbelief and doubt. Moses bowed before the Lord, understanding that this was not merely a moment of despair, but an opportunity for divine transformation. "Lord, your ways are indeed greater than our ways. You fashion faith from fear and strength from weakness." Then Joshua, emboldened by the sight of the glory above the tabernacle, rose among the people and proclaimed, "Let us march forward, for our destiny lies ahead. This wilderness shall be a means of preparation. It shall not define us, but refine us." And that day, the air thrummed with an awakening, a realization that through their trials, they would forge an unbreakable covenant with their God. Yet, even amidst this shared faith, the question lingered. Was this wilderness truly only a preparation, or was it also the stage for a revelation yet unseen? For in the depths of the Lord's plan, an even greater story was poised to unfold, waiting for the hearts willing to take that first step into the unknown. Would they continue to trust the Lord for the journey ahead and embrace the divine purpose awaiting them? As they began to march, the promise of their inheritance loomed near, beckoning with divine mystery. As the Israelites continued their march under the watchful eye of the cloud, a pulsing energy filled the air, carrying with it both apprehension and expectation. The wilderness sprawled before them, a vast expanse of untamed land that seemed to echo with the whispers of the past of their forefathers, their trials, and their ultimate hope in the promised land flowing with milk and honey. Moses led the way, his heart attuned to the voice of God, his spirit fueled by the renewed faith of his brethren. He turned to the assembly once more. When we walk with the Lord, even the harshest wilderness can become a garden of blessings. The trials we shall face are but steps toward revelation and resilience. Trust in his guidance. But within the ranks, a tension began to fester anew as some voices rose above the chorus of faith. "Shall we forsake the comforts of Egypt for this uncertainty?" One man questioned, his gaze scanning the horizon in search of easier paths. "Did we not at least have bread in our bellies there?" Another echoed this sentiment with a hint of scorn. "And yet here we are, exposed to the elements, wandering without a destination. What assurance do we have that we will not perish in these barren lands?" Moses paused to absorb their words and gathered the assembly closely. "Listen to me, O Israel. The Lord has delivered us from bondage. He sheltered us beneath his wings and bestowed upon us the breath of freedom." His voice resonated like the trumpet clarion, instilling courage anew. What is our hardship compared to the weight of our deliverance? At that moment, the cloud brightened, a sublime light piercing through the shadows of doubt, as unearthly peace enveloped the gathering. The voice of the Lord rang forth anew from within the cloud, stronger and more resonant. "I am your God. In this wilderness, I will provide your needs. You shall not want. I will rain down bread from heaven, manna to sustain you." The words struck deep within their hearts, stirring hope against the tide of despair. Caleb stepped forward again, his spirit unshakable. "Be steadfast, brethren. The Lord has promised to feed us. Our forefathers had bread in Egypt, but we shall feast upon the very grace of God. This is no ordinary journey. It is our pilgrimage to the divine inheritance." With that proclamation, a wave of faith surged, rippling through the crowd. Eyes met in solidarity, and soft whispers echoed of the faithfulness to come. Then an unexpected silence fell upon them, a silence so profound that it felt like the very breath of the Lord lingered in the air. Moses, sensing the divine pause, raised his staff high above and called upon the name of the Lord. "O God, what shall we be called in these days? What shall become of these trials?" The heavens opened momentarily, and a new light broke through, casting shadows upon the wilderness. The Lord declared, "You shall be known as a people shaped by struggle and crowned with glory. You will be my witnesses to the nations. In your transformation, my name will be exalted." With every step forward, the Israelites felt the weight of purpose settling among them, their spirits ignited with the embers of promised destiny. The air was thick with a sense of anticipation, as if something miraculous was about to unfold. Unknown to them, the wilderness was a canvas upon which God would paint his redemptive narrative, and through their obedience, they would unveil the mystery of a plan more splendid than they could fathom. For in keeping with his promises, the Lord had something extraordinary set apart. A revelation awaited those who would trust and follow him into the unknown. What wonders would they uncover in the desolation? What fruits would spring forth in their trials? And so the Israelites continued their journey through the wilderness, hearts full of apprehension, yet ignited with hope, a longing for the promised land that shimmered on the horizon. The Lord's presence became a palpable source of strength, guiding them with a cloud by day and a fire by night. Moses walked among them, offering encouragement, reminding them of God's unyielding faithfulness, impervious to the shadows of doubt that still lingered in their hearts. Each day, they gathered to hear the word of the Lord. His commands were not merely rules but affirmations of love, reminders that they were chosen, set apart for divine purpose. Through their trials, he was shaping them into a holy nation. The fiery oppression of the desert sculpted their spiritual resolve, forging characters steeped in faith. Moses continually encouraged them, saying, "Remember, brothers and sisters, the Lord is with us." Every lesson learned in this wilderness is a step closer to his promise. As weeks turned into months, the Israelites faced challenges that tested their resolve. Yet amidst the murmurs of fear, the voices of Caleb and Joshua emerged, a clarion call to unwavering faith. Do not yield to fear. The giants are formidable, but our God is greater. They proclaimed, and a new generation began to arise, their spirits stirred. They echoed the call, willing to trample over fear and doubt. And it came to pass that as they approached the outskirts of the promised land, the Lord instructed Moses, saying, "Send forth your faithful to lead the charge into this new land. Choose 12 men, one from each tribe, to claim the promise I set before them." With great anticipation, Moses selected the men, sending them as spies into Canaan, the land flowing with milk and honey. The spies returned, their hearts ablaze with the bounty of the land, of vision of fruitfulness radiating promise. They bore clusters of grapes so large that they required 2 men to carry them on a pole, and the people crowded around, their eyes wide with wonder. The land is indeed everything the Lord has said. Caleb and Joshua declared, "It is a land rich with blessings. We can take it." But as the word echoed among the assembly, dissent fingers crept among them, fueled by fear. "We saw giants there. They are stronger than we," they whispered, casting shadows upon the faith ignited by revelation. Moses, sensing the turmoil, took to the forefront once more. "People of God, do you not remember the wonders he has shown us? He parted the sea. He provided manna in our need. What is a giant in the face of Almighty God?" His voice rang out, echoing the truth of their journey, and a silence fell upon the camp, a stillness graced by divine reverence. Yet, the heart of the assembly remained stiffened. The Lord's Spirit surged through Moses as he spoke. "How long will this people disbelieve? I have shown my might. I have kept my promise. Yet, their hearts have turned away from me. Moses fell upon his face, pleading for mercy, interceding for a people still steeped in doubt. O Lord, may your mercy endure. These are the children of your covenant. The Lord's heart softened at the cries of his servant, and he relented in his anger, but delivered his decree. As for those who despise my commands, they shall not enter my rest. Yet for your children, whom you said would be victims, I will bring them in. Thus it was that a generation learned the depth of faithfulness. It was a hard lesson wrought through painful experiences, yet one that would anchor their coming descendants. They began to cherish the miraculous, the food from heaven, water from the rock, and the very air of freedom they breathed. And as years rolled forth, the children of the disobedient grew strong among their parents' scars, but seasoned with courage. The old generation, with hearts tender yet wounded, witnessed their young rise with a spirit unmarred by the chains of the past. Finally, the day came. Moses stood atop a great mountain, gazing upon the stretch of the land set before him, a culmination of God's promises. The tribes gathered below, the echo of their faith igniting the winds that swept across the valleys. Today, Moses declared, his voice as thunderous as the promise beneath their feet, "You are to enter the land the Lord swore to your fathers, a land blessed beyond measure. Carry with you the memory of our struggles, and produce rewards of faith. The Lord's covenant stands forever." And so they charged forth, hearts unshackled, walking in the light of their promises. Its vibrant hues filled each breath. The chorus of their journeys surged, shaped by trials transformed into triumphs, revealing their identity as a people renewed. With every step into Canaan, they ventured not merely into a land, but into a destiny ordained by the Almighty. As they crossed the threshold, the heavens rejoiced, and the earth trembled at this divine moment, the culmination of hope, a testament to God's enduring love and sovereign plan fulfilled. The people entered their promised land, united in faith beneath the embrace of their faithful God. Will you heed the call of promise today? Know this: your journey, through every trial, leads you closer to divine destiny. Step forward now, in faith, because there is more for you in your wilderness. Trust Him. If this account has resonated with your spirit and ignited faith within your heart, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that can transform lives. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, and comment on how this biblical story has impacted your faith. Don't wait even one more second. Share this powerful testimony instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear about God's truth today. Only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach more souls for Christ.